I saved my neighbor from a fire, and my girlfriend said I disrespected her feelings by not asking permission first. Now she's on that Jamaica vacation with her ex-fiancé, and I'm the one everyone calls a hero. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. My name is Noah Parker. I'm 32, an electrician in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't work at some fancy tech company or wear a suit to the office. I fix wiring, I install home security systems, I make sure your lights turn on when you flip the switch. It's honest work, and I'm good at it. I live with my buddy Marcus, who drives for UPS. We split rent on a decent place, keep things simple. I'm the guy who shows up when I say I will. I'm the guy who doesn't leave problems unfixed, and for 2 years, I was with a woman named Jenna Brooks. Jenna was 30, worked as an event planner at one of those luxury hotels downtown, not just coordinating, but she had this way of making everything look effortless and expensive at the same time. We met at a friend's wedding where she was managing the whole thing. She came over during cocktail hour, asked if I knew anything about the sound system that kept cutting out. I fixed it in 10 minutes. She smiled and said that's the kind of competence she appreciated. We clicked over that, started seeing each other regularly. For a while, it felt easy. I did things for Jenna I didn't do for anyone else. When her car wouldn't start at 2 in the morning after a late event, I drove 40 minutes to jump it and followed her home. When she needed help moving furniture for a client showcase, I spent my Saturday hauling tables and chairs without being asked. I lent her $800 when her event deposit got delayed, and she had rent due. She paid me back eventually, but the point was I didn't hesitate. I even sat through her friend Bethany's 3-hour birthday brunch where everyone talked about vacation homes and wine pairings while I nursed a $12 mimosa. I thought we were building something real. But lately, things had shifted. Small things at first. She started making jokes about my job in front of her friends. One time at dinner, someone asked what I did, and before I could answer, Jenna said I was still figuring out my career path. I'm an electrician. I've been one for 8 years. At first, I told myself she was just nervous about how her circle perceived blue-collar work, that I shouldn't be sensitive about it. Then she started talking more about ambition, about growth. She'd scroll through Instagram and show me posts from her ex-college friends who were buying houses or starting businesses. She'd sigh and say things like, "We should be further along by now." I asked what she meant. She said, "Never mind, just thinking out loud." I trusted her. If something was really wrong, she'd tell me. Then there was the Jamaica trip. We'd been planning it for months. 8 days at an all-inclusive resort for our 2-year anniversary. Jenna talked about it constantly. She'd researched every excursion, every restaurant on the property, every Instagram-worthy spot. She showed me photos of infinity pools and sunset cruises. I picked up overtime shifts to cover my half of the flights and the extra activities she wanted to book. Snorkeling, ziplining, a private beach dinner that cost $260 alone. It wasn't cheap, but I wanted her to have the experience she kept describing. A week before we were supposed to leave, I stayed over at her townhouse in Pine Hill Estates. It was a Thursday morning, around 6:30. I woke up to this sharp chemical smell in the hallway. Not quite smoke, but close. Burning plastic or fabric. I sat up, listened. Faint beeping from somewhere down the hall. Jenna was still asleep. I got dressed and stepped outside. The smell was stronger. It was coming from the unit next door. Mrs. Harris, an older woman who lived alone. I knocked. No answer. Knocked harder. Nothing. The beeping was louder now. Continuous. I tried the handle. Locked. But when I walked around to the side, I noticed the garage door wasn't fully latched. It had a gap, maybe 6 inches. Enough to see inside. Jenna came out in her robe. "What are you doing?" "Something's wrong in there," I said. "I think there's a fire." "Noah, you can't just go in someone's house. That's illegal. You could get sued." "I'm not breaking in. The door's open, and I smell smoke." She crossed her arms. "Just call 911 and let them handle it." But I'd already pulled the garage door up. Smoke was filling the hallway inside. Not thick, but enough to see. I could hear the dryer running in the laundry room. I went in. The dryer was overheating, towels inside smoldering, edges blackened. I shut it off, pulled the smoking towels out and threw them in the sink, opened the windows. That's when I saw Mrs. Harris slumped in the hallway near the bathroom. She was conscious but barely, coughing, struggling to stand. I helped her outside, sat her down on the curb, called 911. The paramedics arrived 8 minutes later. They checked her out, gave her oxygen, told me she'd likely have collapsed if I hadn't gotten her out when I did. One of the EMTs shook my hand, said I did the right thing. Jenna stood on the sidewalk the whole time with her arms folded. When the ambulance finally left and I walked back over, I expected relief, maybe even pride. Instead, she looked furious. "We need to talk," she said. We went back inside her place. She sat on the couch, hands clenched. "You just went into someone's house without permission," she said. "The door was open. She was unconscious. You didn't know that when you went in." I smelled smoke, Jenna. What was I supposed to do? She stared at me like I'd missed the entire point. "You could have waited for the fire department. You could have asked me what I thought first. But you just made a major decision without consulting me. You completely ignored how I felt about the situation." I sat there, absorbing the words. This was Jenna's reaction to me pulling someone out of a burning house. Not concern, not gratitude, just anger that I hadn't asked her permission first. "Are you serious right now?" I asked. She stood up, went to the bathroom, spit, rinsed, came back out with the same tone she used when she was annoyed about traffic. "I think you have a hero complex," she said. "And honestly, Noah, I need space to think about whether we're even compatible anymore." Then she said it. The words I'd replay 1,000 times. "I need someone who respects my feelings, not someone who plays hero." I swear, those were her exact words. She said it like I'd betrayed her. Like saving a neighbor's life was some selfish act I'd committed just to make her feel small. Something in me went cold. Not anger, not sadness. Just this quiet certainty that I was looking at someone I didn't know anymore. I stood up, picked up my jacket. "I'm going home," I said. She didn't stop me, didn't apologize. Just said she'd text me later. I walked out, got in my truck, and drove back to my place. Marcus was eating cereal in the kitchen when I came in. Took one look at my face and said what happened. I told him everything. He set the bowl down. "She's setting up an exit, man," he said. "That's what this is." I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't shake the way she'd looked at me. Like I'd done something unforgivable. For the next 4 days, Jenna barely responded to my texts. One-word answers. "Okay, fine, busy." I asked if we could talk in person. She said she needed more time. The Jamaica trip was in 3 days. I asked if we were still going. She said she didn't know. Then I got the email. Friday afternoon, from the airline. "Your itinerary has been modified." I opened it. My name had been removed from the reservation. In its place, a new passenger. Dr. Ethan Cole. I stared at it for a long time, like if I stared long enough, the name would change. It didn't. Ethan, Jenna's ex-fiancé, the one who'd cheated on her 3 years ago, the one she said she'd never forgive, the one whose name I wasn't even supposed to say around her because it brought up too much pain. That Ethan. I pulled up our phone records. We were on a shared plan. I scrolled back through the last month. There were calls to an unknown number, long ones, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, some late at night. They started 3 weeks before the fire. I reverse-searched the number. It matched the front desk of a medical office downtown. Ethan's practice. I sat there, phone in my hand, everything clicking into place. The ambition comments, the jokes about my job, the sudden need for space. None of it was about the fire. The fire just gave her an excuse. I drove to her townhouse. Ethan's Lexus was parked outside. I walked up to the door, knocked. Jenna opened it, saw me, and froze. "Noah." "Who's Ethan?" I asked. She blinked, looked behind her. Ethan appeared in the hallway, holding a wine glass. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "You need to leave," Jenna said. "I just want to understand," I said. "When did this start?" She crossed her arms. "We weren't working, Noah. I needed clarity." "That's not an answer." Ethan stepped forward. "Look, man, This isn't easy for anyone. But Jenna and I reconnected, and sometimes people realize they're meant to be with someone else. It's not personal. I looked at him, then at her, then back at him. You're on my Jamaica trip, I said. Our trip, Jenna corrected. I paid for half. With money I lent you. She flinched. Ethan set the wine glass down, clearly trying to de-escalate. I turned and walked back to my truck. Behind me, I heard Jenna say something about picking up her things later. I didn't respond. I just drove. 2 weeks passed. The fire department sent me a letter thanking me for my quick actions. The HOA posted a notice praising the heroic neighbor who'd saved Mrs. Harris. A local paper ran a small story with my photo. Meanwhile, Jenna was telling her friends I was emotionally unsafe, that I had control issues, that the breakup was mutual. Then Ethan called me. I almost didn't answer. I wanted to clear the air, he said. There's nothing to clear. I didn't know you guys were still together when Jenna and I started talking. You believe that? Silence. She told me you were practically broken up, he said. That you were controlling. That she needed out. And you didn't think to ask me? I'm asking now. Your guilt isn't my job, Ethan. I hung up. The next day, Mrs. Harris stopped by my place, brought cookies, thanked me again. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. I saw your girlfriend a few weeks ago, she said, with a man. They were kissing in the parking lot. He had a hospital ID on, got into a Lexus. I stared at her. I didn't want to say anything before, she continued. But after everything, I thought you should know. It was before you came in to help me. So Jenna had been cheating long before the fire. The whole feelings boundary argument was just theater. A way to reframe her exit so she looked like the victim. I contacted the resort about the Jamaica trip, explained the situation. They couldn't refund the booking, but they gave me a $700 travel credit in my name. I asked Jenna to reimburse me for the $260 I'd spent on excursions. She said I was being vindictive. I told her if she didn't pay, I'd file in small claims court. She sent the money 2 days later with a message that said, "This is who you really are." 3 months went by. I started going to the gym with Marcus. Started feeling like myself again. The local coverage of the rescue got picked up by a regional outlet. People recognized me at the hardware store. Called me the electrician who saved his neighbor. It felt good. Not because of the attention, but because it reminded me I'd done the right thing, even when it cost me. Then one Saturday morning, I went to the diner I used to go to with Jenna. I was halfway through my eggs when the door opened. Jenna and Ethan walked in. They saw me, froze. I just nodded and kept eating. They stood there for a moment, whispering, then turned around and left. I watched them through the window. Jenna looked upset. Ethan looked uncomfortable. For the first time, I wasn't the one carrying the weight. They were. A week later, Ethan left me a voicemail. "Hey, Noah. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know the full story. Jenna wasn't honest with me about a lot of things. I should have asked questions. Anyway, I hope you're doing okay." I didn't call him back. There was nothing to say. I kept moving forward, hit the gym, took on a big rewiring project that paid well, started planning a trip with my travel credit, maybe somewhere quiet, maybe somewhere I'd always wanted to go but never had the chance. I even went on a coffee date with a woman named Ava. She's an interior designer. We met when she hired me to install lighting in a client's kitchen. She didn't care that I wore work boots or that my truck had tools in the back. We talked for 2 hours about nothing in particular. It was easy, no pressure, no performance. Marcus told me he'd heard through mutual friends that Jenna and Ethan went to Jamaica, that they fought the whole time, that the trip was a disaster, that Ethan found out Jenna had lied about when we broke up, and now he didn't trust her. I didn't check her social media, didn't ask for details. I was done. The thing is, if I hadn't gone into Mrs. Harris's house that morning, Jenna still would have left, just later, more painfully. The fire didn't ruin my relationship. It exposed who Jenna really was. Someone who valued image over integrity. Someone who'd rather rewrite history than take responsibility. Someone who saw my decency as a flaw. Jenna didn't betray me once. She did it in 100 little ways long before that morning. Like how she'd introduce me to her work friends and skip over what I did for a living. Or how she'd compare our life to other couples and sigh like we were falling behind. Or how she'd accept my help but never quite say thank you. I wasn't angry at her anymore. I was angry at myself for accepting it as normal. One afternoon, I ran into Mrs. Harris at the grocery store. She hugged me, told me she'd just gotten back from visiting her daughter in Florida. Said she wouldn't have made that trip if I hadn't been there that morning. That her daughter wanted to meet me someday and say thank you in person. I told her I was just glad she was okay. As I walked back to my truck, I thought about Jenna's words. I need someone who respects my feelings, not someone who plays hero. She'd said it like it was a choice, like saving someone was some character flaw I needed to fix. But I didn't lose a partner. I lost an illusion, and I gained something better. Clarity. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments. Personally, I really felt for Noah. He worked overtime to pay for a vacation, saved someone's life, and got punished for it by the person who was supposed to love him. That's brutal. That line about needing someone who respects her feelings instead of playing hero actually made me so mad. She turned his decency into a weapon, like saving a neighbor from a fire was somehow disrespectful to her. That's not therapy language, that's manipulation. But the way Noah handled it? Honestly, I respect that. He didn't blow up her social media, didn't trash talk her to mutual friends. He just quietly took back his money, moved on, and let her deal with the mess she made. Meanwhile, she's stuck in a relationship with a guy who now knows she's a liar. Noah did the right thing. Jenna can enjoy that Jamaica regret with Ethan. Let them deal with the trust issues they built together.